This is Eboracum. You know it as York. But in the year 210 AD, this wasn't just a quaint city in northern England. It was the iron fist of the Roman Empire. We tend to think of Rome as a place of sun, olives, and white marble. But for thousands of Romans, the reality was grey skies, freezing rain, and mud. I used modern AI to reconstruct Eboracum at its absolute military peak, when the Emperor Septimius Severus was actually living here, making this cold frontier fortress the temporary capital of the known world. We aren't going to look at the nice gardens. We are going to look at the fortifications, the barracks, and the multicultural melting pot that existed on the edge of the civilized world. This is 24 hours in the Roman north. The day in Eboracum begins not with the sun, because let's be honest, in northern England you might not see the sun at all, but with the sound of the Cornu. It's a massive, curved brass horn that blasts across the fortress at 4 a.m. It cuts through the fog coming off the river Ouse. If you lived in Rome, you woke up to the sound of wagons. Here you wake up to the sound of the military machine. Eboracum wasn't a normal city. It was a castra, a fortress base for the 6th Legion Victrix, the victorious. That means 5,500 heavily armed, highly trained killers are waking up all at once. You wake up in the Canabae, the civilian shantytown that sprawled outside the fortress walls. You're shivering. The Romans invented central heating, the hippocaust, but that was for the rich and the officers. For you, warmth comes from a charcoal brazier that's probably smoking up your small timber house. You step outside into the mud. The streets here aren't paved with nice flat stones like in the capital. They are timber-lined tracks designed to keep you from sinking into the swampy ground. The air smells different here. It smells of wet wool, coal smoke, because they burned coal here, unlike the wood fires of the south, and the metallic tang of the smithies that are already hammering out swords. By 6 a.m., the mist is lifting and you head towards the river. Eboracum is a tale of two cities divided by the river Ouse. On one side, the massive stone fortress of the Legion, on the other, the growing civilian colony. To get to work, you have to cross the bridge. And this isn't a quiet commute. You are walking alongside people from every corner of the earth. This is the biggest misconception about Roman Britain. It wasn't just white guys in skirts. We have archaeological evidence, like the famous ivory bangle lady, that proves wealthy North Africans lived here. You'd hear Syrian archers speaking Aramaic, Spanish cavalrymen speaking Iberian dialects, and local British tribesmen speaking Celtic, all trying to bargain in broken Latin. It was a frontier boomtown. You pass the wharves at 8 a.m. Ships are unloading supplies from the Rhine and Gaul. Being this far north, the army needs massive amounts of wine, olive oil, and grain to feel Roman. But they are also unloading luxury goods, amber from the Baltic, glass from the Rhineland. You watch a crate of oysters being unloaded. Romans were obsessed with British oysters. They were packed in snow and shipped all the way to Rome. But here, they are fresh. The dock workers are tossing them to soldiers who are grabbing a quick breakfast. By 10 a.m., you approach the fortress walls. These aren't the crumbling ruins you see today. In 210 AD, these walls were terrifying. They were built of magnesium limestone, shining white in the gloomy weather, standing 6 meters high. You look up at the multi-angular tower, which actually still stands today in the museum gardens, but back then it was topped with a tiled roof and patrolling sentries. You have to show your identification to get through the Porta Praetoria. The guards aren't messing around. There is a war going on north of the wall against the Caledonians, and security is tight. Once inside the fortress, the grid system is rigid. It's a machine for living. You walk past the endless rows of barracks. The smell here is intense, unwashed men, leather, and horse manure. But you are heading for the center, the Principia, the headquarters. This building was the size of a cathedral, a massive hall with a red-tiled roof where the administration of the North happened. In the courtyard, the standards of the Legion, the Golden Eagles, are kept in a shrine. Soldiers walk past and salute them. It's not just a flag, it's a god. Down below the Principia, deep underground, is the strong room. The Legion's pay chest is down there, We're talking about millions of denarii in silver. But the real buzz today is at the Praetorium, the commander's palace next door. The emperor is here. Septimius Severus, an African-born emperor, has brought the entire imperial court to this muddy island to conquer Scotland. Think about that. The most powerful man on earth, the man who rules from the Euphrates to the Atlantic, is sitting in a room in Yorkshire, probably complaining about the rain, signing death warrants for Scottish chieftains. It gives the city an electric energy. If you are lucky, you might see his son, Caracalla, a psychopath who would later murder his own brother, striding through the mud in a soldier's cloak. By 12 p.m, the cold is in your bones, it's damp. The wind from the Pennines cuts right through your tunic. So you do what every Roman does. You go to the baths. The legionary bathhouse in York was massive. It had to be. It was the only place you could truly get warm. You enter the building and the steam hits you instantly. It's a wall of heat. The engineers have the furnaces roaring day and night. You strip down and head into the caldarium. The floor is hot enough to burn your feet if you don't wear wooden sandals. Here, in the steam, the hierarchy dissolves slightly. You see a centurion with scars all over his back from the wars in Parthia, scrubbing himself next to a local merchant who sells wool. They are talking about the races. No, there isn't a Colosseum here, it's too small for that, but there is almost certainly a wooden amphitheatre outside the walls for beast hunts and executions. Did you see the bear baiting yesterday? The soldier asks. They brought a brown bear all the way from Caledonia, tore 3 dogs apart. This is the entertainment of the frontier, brutal, bloody and distracting. By 2 p.m, you are out of the baths and hungry. You head to a popina, a bar in the civilian settlement. What's on the menu? Not the dormice and flamingo tongues of Rome. This is the north. You are eating beef. Lots of it. The archaeology shows that the soldiers in York ate a massive amount of beef, smoked pork, and mutton. You wash it down with cerveza, Celtic beer. The Romans preferred wine, but up here, shipping wine is expensive and the local beer is thick, warm, and gets the job done. The tavern is loud, soldiers are playing dice, gambling their wages. A fight breaks out in the corner, a heavy clay cup smashes against a wall. The innkeeper doesn't even flinch. He just signals a bouncer, a massive guy who looks like he used to be a gladiator, to throw them out into the mud. Late afternoon, 4 p.m, in the winter, it's already getting dark. The gloom sets in early. You walk past the workshops. York was an industrial powerhouse. You hear the glassblowers, the potters, and the jet workers. Whitby jet, a black, fossilized wood, was carved into jewelry here and shipped across the empire. It was believed to have magical protective powers. You see a woman buying a jet pendant for her husband, who is marching north to Hadrian's Wall tomorrow. She's touching it, whispering a prayer to the gods. And speaking of gods, as the sun sets, you see the religious side of the city come out. Rome had the official gods, Jupiter, Mars, Minerva. But here on the frontier, the soldiers loved the strange gods. You follow a group of men down a side alley, down a set of stairs into a cellar. This is a Mithraeum, a temple to Mithras, the bull slayer. It's dark, designed to look like a cave. There is no audience, just initiates. They share a meal, chanting in the darkness. It's a cult of loyalty and brotherhood, perfect for soldiers who might die tomorrow. By 7 p.m, the city is pitch black. There are no streetlights here, and the fog is back, rolling off the river. The only light comes from the torches on the gatehouses of the fortress. The civilian town goes quiet, doors are barred. The threat here feels different than in Rome. In Rome, you worry about muggers. Here, you worry about what's out there in the dark, the painted people to the north. The wall is days away, but the fear is present. You can feel that you are on the edge. If the legion fails, there is nothing stopping the barbarians from burning this whole place to the ground. You head back to your timber house. The charcoal brazier has burned down to embers. You throw some more coal on it. You can hear the river lapping against the pilings of the bridge. Above the city, on the fortress walls, you hear the changing of the guard. Vigilate! "Stay awake," the centurion shouts. Hobnailed boots stomp in unison on the stone ramparts. Lying in the dark, you realize the significance of where you are. This isn't just a military base, it's a crucible. It was here, in this city, that Septimius Severus would die a year later. It was here, 100 years after that another emperor, Constantius, would die, and his soldiers would raise their shields and proclaim his son emperor. That son was Constantine the Great, the man who would Christianize the empire and build Constantinople. The history of the Western world would pivot on a moment that happened right here in the mud and the cold of York. The Cornu will sound again in a few hours, the smiths will start hammering, the ships will bring more wine, and the 6th Legion will sharpen their swords again. It's a hard life, a cold life, but standing on the bridge looking at the white walls glowing in the moonlight, you feel the power of it. Rome isn't just a city in Italy. Rome is an idea, and here on the edge of the known world, that idea is armored in iron and ready for war.